Have you ever stopped to think about how a simple invisible line on a map can create just a world of chaos? Well, get ready because today we're diving into one of the wildest examples on the planet, Australia's Gold Coast Airport. So let me ask you this. It sounds like a riddle, right? Can a single airport actually be in two places at the exact same time? Well, believe it or not, the answer is yes. And that's where things start to get really complicated. Okay, so here it is, Gold Coast Airport, airport code OOL. It's a huge gateway serving over 6 million people a year, but its most incredible feature, the entire airport literally straddles the border between two Australian states, Queensland on one side and New South Wales on the other. And hey, if this is all news to you, you are definitely in good company. This Reddit user pretty much summed up the feeling of surprise that almost everyone has when they find this out. It's this massive geographical oddity hiding in plain sight. So, what actually happens when an airport crosses a state line? Well, the very first problem you run into is time itself. Yep, for half the year, this place becomes a real-life time machine, and trust me, it is not as cool as it sounds. Here's where it gets really weird. From October to April, New South Wales switches to daylight saving time, but Queensland doesn't. So you end up with a 1-hour time difference inside the same building. You can literally walk from a departure gate in Queensland into a baggage claim area in New South Wales and travel an hour into the future. It's nuts. For anyone trying to catch a flight, this is a total nightmare. Your phone keeps jumping between cell towers in different states, so you have no idea what the real time is. People are constantly booking taxis for the wrong time, missing dinner reservations, and worst of all, panicking about their actual departure time. Now, to try and manage the chaos, the airport decided to just run on Queensland time all year round. Simple solution, right? Well, not really. Because while the flight boards all show one time, the roads, the businesses, the laws just a few feet away are all operating in a different hour. And this has some very real consequences. Take this resident, Roger Graff. He points out that New South Wales has a strict flight curfew. So when a plane takes off at 10:30 p.m. Queensland time, it's actually 11:30 p.m. in New South Wales. And it's flying right over NSW homes, breaking their curfew. You see, this isn't just a funny little quirk. It's a direct clash between two different sets of state laws. But the time zone chaos? Oh, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It gets way more serious, escalating into this massive legal and financial maze, where that invisible line on the map becomes a literal million-dollar question in a court of law. Get this, there was a huge legal fight between Lend-Lease and BCS airport systems. They were building a new baggage handling system that stretched right across the border, and it sparked this fundamental question. If you're working in two states at once, which state's laws do you even follow? And the stakes were massive. We're not talking about small change here. An adjudicator had awarded BCS almost $1 million. Lend-Lease fought back, arguing that Queensland's payment laws shouldn't count for the parts of the job that were physically in New South Wales. The Supreme Court of Queensland, however, saw it differently, and their ruling set a fascinating new precedent. The court decided that Queensland's law covers the entire project unless the work is, and this is the key word, wholly outside the state. Because just a tiny piece of that baggage system was in Queensland, the whole thing fell under Queensland law. That's a huge decision for any cross-border project in Australia. So beyond the travel headaches and the big legal battles, this border creates an even bigger, more systemic problem. It acts like a brake, creating all this economic friction that makes planning for the region as a whole almost impossible. A study in the journal Sustainability looked right into this, and what they found is pretty telling. Because there's no real cooperation, the massive economic boost from an international airport isn't shared fairly. Queensland gets most of the benefits, while the New South Wales side, which deals with a lot of the noise and traffic, gets left behind. What this all boils down to is that you have 4 different governments trying to manage one piece of infrastructure, 2 states and 2 local councils, all with their own agendas. Researchers call it governance gridlock, and it's just a perfect example of how a shared asset can actually create division when there's no unified vision. And just when you think it can't get any more complicated, there's another battle brewing. This one's not in the terminals or the courtrooms. It's happening right underneath the runway. Okay, so let's talk about something called PFOS and PFOA. You might know them by their nickname, Forever Chemicals. Basically, they're man-made compounds that were used in old-school firefighting foam at airports for decades.
and they just do not break down in the environment. Ever.
And here's the problem. Land on the New South Wales side of the airport, land that was set for a new expansion, was found to be contaminated with these exact chemicals from old fire training drills. This sparked serious fears that these toxins could get into the local groundwater, leading to demands for a major environmental assessment. It's yet another cross-border conflict, all because of that one line on a map. So, after navigating time travel, million-dollar lawsuits, and toxic chemicals, what is the big lesson that this one incredibly confusing airport really teaches all of us? Well, one thing's for sure, this airport isn't going anywhere. It started as just a small emergency landing strip way back in 1936, and now it's a massive international hub. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been poured into it, like the recent huge expansion of the southern terminal. Its bizarre challenges are just a permanent part of its DNA. Ultimately, the Gold Coast Airport is a perfect case study. It proves that borders, even the ones we can't see, are not just abstract lines on a page. They create very real, very tangible friction in our everyday lives, messing with our time, our laws, our economy, and even our environment. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. This airport is such a powerful reminder that we're all surrounded by these invisible lines, state lines, school districts, voting precincts. So the real question is, what other borders are out there quietly shaping your world in ways you've never even noticed?